Tony Rayman, I think definitely has something to do with it. Because if you think about it all, like, the beheading of Venezuela and then the decapitation of Venezuela and then the regime change in Iran, which is not a regime change at the moment because it's still going. That's one reason. Another reason I would argue is to detract from the Epstein files, which we say out loud. Epstein files, we say that out loud. And Epstein files, why do we say that out loud? Because we mustn't forget that that is still ongoing. Just because somebody wants us to be just because somebody wants us to be distracted from the Epstein files doesn't mean that we lose focus on the Epstein files. Okay? Focus on the Epstein files. We must still look. We must still search. We must still put pressure on the Epstein files. What's interesting, though, is that every time pressure increases on the Epstein files, something major happens. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that every time we go, oh, somebody's mentioned an awful lot in the Epstein files, somebody drops a bomb somewhere else, every single time. I mean, they've released more documents. There's one document that is practically unredacted, which I've read myself, which talks about, which is the interview by the FBI with a woman who talks about what happened between her and Trump when she was 13 to 15 years old. I still need to, I've read it. I still want to cross-verify that document before I say anything else about it. I did have a look at it. I just want to double check because at this point in time, I'm going to be honest with you, everything that I read, I go, is this really? Because with AI and with false news and everything else, I just find it really hard to believe. Having read it, and it's quite graphic, and it's quite on the nose, I'm now at a point where I go, I don't feel like this is real, because surely the DOJ did not let this one slip past. I know that there were 3 million documents, but surely this, which is so clearly, if true, wrong, like illegal, like horrendous, just unacceptable. How was it not redacted? Does that make sense? That I'm here going, they've redacted so much. They've protected so many people through redaction or through probably non-publication of documents and photos and pictures. How did this get through? Now, I've seen it mentioned in a number of places. I've seen it referenced in a number of places, including Al Jazeera, which, obviously is a mainstream network. And I would give Al Jazeera as much credence as I give CNN or BBC. I kind of think, they all at some level above have an agenda. Now, especially now that we're seeing things like maybe that we're seeing the amalgamation of news networks like CNN and is it, please fact check for me. Like CNN, is it CBC that is going to be merged with the Paramount, Warner Brothers big Discovery merge? There's worries about what's going to happen to CNN. Some of it you just go, hang on a second. How can I, an ordinary member of the public, be reading the details of a crime, like a massive, horrendous crime? And you kind of go, is no one else seeing this? So isn't it crazy that I'm at the point now where I'm reading evidence going, I don't know if this is evidence. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's true. But what we do know is that the timing of this particular war was very, very handy to detract, all of the above from the latest tranche of documents that were recently released again. So let's see what you have to say. A war started for unknown reasons by an unhinged despot with no certain end, and the idiot has the gall to ask for help with the added bonus of a 15% tariff. Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. Some of this stuff being apparently revealed is so incredulous. It is, James. And that's why I'm saying at this point, I'm going, I don't know who I trust to then believe that it's true. Who shall we all agree? Would we, if it was published on there, would we go, okay, now I agree that it's true? And that's what's the worst thing right now about the internet, is that we can't trust anything that we read anymore because there's no trusted source, especially because it's all owned at the very top by the exact individuals who are fucking us up the ass financially every day of the goddamn week. That is the most swearing I've ever done in a paper jam, but I feel like it's appropriate. Massie and Khanna, if you haven't heard of Massie and Khanna, they are two Republicans who started, they were the ones that wanted to pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Oh, sorry, not two Republicans. Let me say that again. Thomas Massie is a Republican, but Khanna is a Democrat. But they have come cross-party to spearhead the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which the House voted 427-1 to pass. And Trump initially opposed the bill, but then really had no power not to, and he signed it. But this is the act that required all of the Epstein-related files to be released by the DOJ by the 19th of December, which of course they did not do. They released over 3 million files by that date, but didn't release the rest of them because they hadn't finished redacting them in their weird and wonderful, odd ways of redacting it, which, by the way, left a lot of victims open. It was their names, their addresses, their identities, their faces were left unredacted, but a lot of men's names were redacted. A lot of people that you go, that person seems a bit suspicious, and the whole thing redacted. Anyway, another 3 million files were then released again in January. I mean, if we look at this, if we look at if we look at actions in the world and releases of Epstein files, we can see a little bit of a correlation. The capture of Venezuelan President Maduro in January, and then a Trump directive on UFOs were each deployed at moments of peak Epstein file scrutiny. And what's interesting is former Israeli diplomat and analyst, and apologies if I say this incorrectly, but I think it's Shail Ben Ephraim, told Al Jazeera that Trump really needs a distraction from domestic issues in the form of a war. And then war happened, and Google has confirmed that searches for Epstein files has measurably plummeted since the bombing started. So at least temporarily, it's succeeding, which is a concern. So we've got the Epstein files. We've got the fact that Saudi Arabia was like, oh, this would be kind of handy. I'm sorry, Saudi Arabia. Was it this kind of handy in terms of us making some money off of oil?